Hi, friends. My name is Adam Powers, and I'm so excited to be here on part of this leadership summit with you guys today. But for the sake of time, I'm going to jump right into it. And I gave you some links to three documents. One is relationship centered engagement, the action pillar, engagement plan, and then another is a sample engagement, like a spreadsheet plan. There's three documents. So open those up, and I'm going to dig right into it. So, why relationship centered engagement? Well, we're following Jesus's model. In Luke chapter 8, um, it says after this, Jesus traveled about from one town and village to another, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom of God. The 12 were with him, and also some women who had been cured of evil spirits and diseases. Mary, called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had come out, Joanna, the wife of Chuza, the manager of Herod's household, Susanna, and many others. These women were helping to support them out of their own means. So what does Luke chapter 8 tell us? It tells us to proclaim Jesus boldly. It tells us to go to the next kid, school, neighborhood, city. We have no idea what's going to happen because these folks' lives were changed and they became a part of the ministry and we're following Jesus. It also tells us that adults' lives can be changed. It tells us to engage others, and it also tells us that community is what ultimately is going to make Young Life happen, because community is what made the ministry of Jesus happen. Within relationship-centered engagement, we have 6 pillars. The stewardship journey is one of the pillars. The engagement teams is another pillar. The ministry vision is one pillar. Another is the strategy plan and list pillar. The action pillar, the one we're going to look at today, and the foundational pillar that holds it all together is the prayer pillar. So the action pillar really is a roll-up of the previous pillars. It's a year-long calendar so that everyone knows what they are doing and how to encourage one another and hold others and themselves accountable. There's a whole list here of actions to remember, and I would encourage you to go and take a look at that list in my PDF slides that I gave you here. But what I want to do is I want to particularly take a moment in this time to look at what it might look like to put together a plan for the whole year. And you see there's notes there that I'll walk you through, and there's also a PDF of a sample Excel sheet, what that might look like. So what you will do, the reason why we want to put together engagement plans for donors is because Jesus had relationships with all types of people. He communicated with them differently. You know, you might have, there's 5 different kind of engagement levels in the RCE. There's the aware level, there's the interested, the involved, the invested, and the advocate level. So for us, the aware level are the crowds. That's the mass communication to anyone that's on our list. And we want to come up with a plan of how we're going to communicate with people that are on the aware level. Then you have the interested or the involved. And I would call these the 72, like in Luke chapter 10. And they're going to be a bit more frequent communication, but not all the time, not, right in there. They're not right in there digging in their heels with us. So we don't need to communicate with them quite the same way. And where you have your folks that are invested, these are the 12 disciples. And these folks spent time together. These are the folks that we need to find ways to spend time with them in relationship with. And then you have the advocates. That's Peter, James, and John. They shared life very intimately with Jesus. And I think what we need to do and be mindful of in our areas is communicating through the lens of discipleship, moving, and what that does is it moves people closer to Jesus, because this is fundraising itself, and engaging adults is ministry. Do we communicate with people because we want something from them or because we have something to offer? No, we communicate with people not because we want something, but because we have something to offer. Being a part of Young Life is a privilege. I think being able to give your time, your talent, and your treasure in this ministry is such a privilege, because there's nothing quite like it in our community that's really going out to the least of these, to the outcasts, of the unchurched, and introducing them to Jesus and helping them grow in their faith. There's no better thing that I believe that we can be doing in our community. And we have stories to tell that people have never heard. And so what we do is we communicate with people so that they can learn to love God more and see his glory in a matter that is new, that is life-giving, that is encouraging. We take for granted that we see the Spirit moving in people's hearts and minds all the time. And many folks in the Christian community never have an opportunity to see that beyond maybe themselves and their immediate family. And so what I put in here is a sample of yearly telling, like how we're going to tell the news of the Young Life mission through voice, print, email, website, video. It says in Luke chapter 8, verse 38, the man from whom demons had gone out begged to go with him, but Jesus sent him away, saying, return home and tell how much God has done for you. So the man went away and told all over town how much Jesus had done for him. And that's what we're going to do in the telling strategy. And then we have the showing strategy, like the showing calendar. And these calendars can go together, but that's showing people how God is at work in the mission of Young Life. Luke chapter 5, verse 14 says this. Then Jesus ordered him, don't tell anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing as a testimony to them. And so what I did here is put some samples throughout the year of how you could show folks who are on the different engagement levels what is happening in the mission. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to invite then supporters into a journey of what's happening in Young Life. John 1 verse 50 says this. Jesus said, you believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree. You'll see greater things than that. He then added, very truly I tell you, you will see heaven open, the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. We want to help the supporter advocate for the mission in their circle of influence. And that's like through adult guest programs, hosting a table, mentoring a leader, becoming a donor. That's how these advocates, can be part of this ministry and help them, grow in their faith through this ministry. And I think there's some action items is some things that you can do is to as a team, and then I'm going to show you what a potential like engagement calendar could look like as a team. Your engagement team committee, what you can do is you can go through and take your entire list. It could be a huge list. It could be a couple thousand. I mean, that's a lot, but of people that are involved in some way in Young Life, and into the aware category, the invite, the investor, the advocate categories. And I would say these are people who are donors, leaders, committee, all the potential people that have shown interest in Young Life. And then ask yourself how we can strategically think and pray for these folks. How can we increase these people's involvement, their investment with involvement with Jesus, Young Life, and then how can we potentially disciple them? And what you can do is you can take these above ideas here and make your own kind of communication engagement calendar. And so what I want you to look at is I kind of sent a sample plan. It's really small. I apologize. I had to make it into a PDF to attach for you guys. But what I did here, this is just a sample rough, is I broke the audience into the awareness level, the interested, the involved, the invested, and the advocate. And then I went month by month and quickly broke up how I might choose to communicate with these people in the written word, video, face-to-face. And you can make this whatever you want. And I know I'm missing a lot of things here, and what I would suggest is to sit down with your team and get a wall and put all the things that you're doing up on the wall of what your communication, the way you're connecting with people, your events, the things that kids are doing, ministry. And so you can see the patterns and break them up by month and start to see where maybe you have holes in your communication, or where you're communicating too much, or maybe you're missing people, and how you where you are thanking people, and maybe realizing there's huge swaths of the year where you're not thanking people and just calling people to share the story. But this needs to be done in community. And I would suggest maybe taking a morning, a Saturday morning, or an evening. Personally, I think better in the morning, taking a Saturday morning with donuts and coffee and just spending a morning together brainstorming. I also gave some other ideas in the materials I gave you of things like name storming people that aren't even on your list, and brainstorming activities, and so on and so forth. My encouragement is to leave today coming up with a time with your team that you can meet with to begin to work on a year-long engagement plan with the adults in their community, and pray that this plan would help them, the adults that are connected to the ministry, to grow in their faith. Because ultimately, our work with adults is just as sacred as our work with kids. If it's not going to help people come to know Jesus more, then we have to ask ourselves, are we going in the right direction? Because that's our goal. We want people to grow closer in their faith with Christ through whatever we do in this ministry. And that's my prayer for us today, that our efforts would cause kids and adults to grow more deeply in love with Jesus than they were the day before. Bless you guys, and I appreciate what you're doing and all the time you're putting in to love your community. Have a good day.